that is not the criteria for deciding the height. The height is basically this. And then if you find, oh, for such a tall stack and only a metal stack, let's say, with the wind blowing, temperature drop from here to here maybe 10 degrees, let's say.
How about if the...
Then you have to insulate the stack if you don't want 10 degrees to drop.
Yeah, example, the gases tend to condense.
Yeah, I understand. Dew point you are saying. Basically, okay, for the boiler to be on high efficiency, you would want this temperature coming from the boiler to be as low as possible. Let's say for sulfur content what we have, we can accept up to 125 degrees of flue gas temperature. Actual 50 ppm sulfur. 125 degrees. Now this is also carrying a lot of moisture, this flue gas. Yeah, it's carrying moisture because of the air it took from outside, plus the hydrogen that it burned. We have sales gases, CH4. And CH4 is burns as a fuel, C produces CO2 and hydrogen produces H2O, which is water. That's why we have GCV and NCV numbers. Why there are two numbers? GCV is bigger, NCV is smaller, because part of the heat produced is basically absorbed by the gases, the flue gas itself. It is not given back to the boiler. It's a in-house consumption kind of. So that basically turns into water. If the temperature here becomes 100, this will become a weeping stack. It's called weeping. Weeping, W-E-E-P. Weeping is what happens if you beat me. I start weeping. So it's called weeping stack. I mean, on the inner surface of the stack, you will find streaks of water coming down, as if tears from the eyes, crying eyes. That's called weeping stack. And once it collects on the inner wall, then even if the temperature is 120 degrees, it doesn't evaporate. Why? Because most of the flue gas will be passing, keeping certain distance from the wall. That is called wall drag.
Wall what?
Wall drag or wall resistance. If there is some fluid is flowing through a pipe, the velocity is highest in the center, almost zero near the surface. So if once you have water formation here, be assured that the whole stack will corrode, no matter the temperature is 120 degrees. Because that water starts forming here and starts to trickle down along the walls and doesn't evaporate. This is a very funny phenomenon actually. A lot of people think, oh, I'm maintaining 180 degrees, okay, 180. But what is the temperature of the water there? It cannot be, 180 is quite high, okay. Most of the water will evaporate. But if you maintain 125, most likely half of the stack will get corroded inside. And it will not be visible outside. So,
and the flare stack, there is some, I don't know.
Flare stack also possible, yes.
Because I remember there is something they put to make sure all the weeping coming out from the flare stack. So,
They might have put a vein inside. So the vein, that phenomenon is called weeping.
No, I mean the spiral
Outside.
I thought that's a
No,
wing.
that's a vortex break.
no, there is, I don't know, it's like promoting, I can remember, the one was
But normally inside the stack we don't put anything. You just paint it with a anti-corrosive paint. That's all you can do. Inside if you put a spiral like that, it will affect the flue gas flow itself. So the stack has these criteria to be checked. First the height, then for that height, what will be the stability? That is structural calculation, not to do with thermal calculation, and whether there will be any temperature drop from here to here, because that's a part of the boiler calculation to make sure that the dew point is not reached. Some people just take it very casually, keep a high temperature here, save money on the surfaces, heating surfaces, and say, oh, this is only to protect your stack. I am giving you 180 degrees temperature here. Why? You could have given me 150 also, and still the stack would have been safe. I am losing efficiency. 30 degrees is 1.5% efficiency. is huge. Anyway, so this is also one of the technical evaluation criteria. What is the stack temperature? What is the temperature maintained at a specific, what he specifies? Because again remember, Asia specification did not say stack temperature, and she may not also.
Industrial practice around.
But we have to check in the technical evaluation. When two offers are coming to you, oh, what is the stack temperature party A gives me? What is the stack temperature party B gives me?
Any values or no? Or no?
Yeah, very good. For sulfur, low sulfur fuel, 125 is acceptable. For high sulfur, 180, 200. That depends on the sulfur dew point actually. There's a chart, depending on sulfur content in the fuel, there is a chart that tells you what should be the minimum temperature to be maintained anywhere in the stack. But if you take out the sulfur part, let's say clean fuel, no sulfur, then you have to look at the water condensation, water dew point, basically, which is 100 degrees. So that decides the stack. Boiler mounting and fittings, okay, you all know, they're all safety valve design, then the selection of safety valves, how do you select,
Next module.
okay, next.
Sini kena refer.
Stress analysis, yeah, stress analysis we have. Basically that ligament is one, and proving that the tube thickness that you chose can withstand the stresses at that pressure and temperature. That is ASME calculation. Means there is a better person to that basically goes to DOSH.
Apa is better?
DOSH will certify your boiler based on this. Out of all the literature that we talked about so far, DOSH is blind to all of them. They just look at this. I don't want any boiler explosion to happen in your plant, or boiler bursting in your plant. That's all. Explosion also they don't take care. Explosion is basically fuel side, which they have no control over. That is covered by NFPA, which is still not found a way in the DOSH regulation. They only talk about mechanical strength. Why? Because they are still living in the shell type boiler age. The fire tube boiler. In the fire tube boiler burst, what will come out?
Water.
Only water and maybe steam, but not fire. In a boiler like ours, if the furnace explodes, the fire will come out. Steam also will come, but that will be much smaller in quantity because it contains much smaller unit water per ton of steam produced. There, the whole 25 ton is sitting inside the shell. So if a shell type boiler burst, which has happened in those days very many times, because they used to have riveted design. Rivets. If a shell type boiler burst, it would be like a hot water bath for the whole colony.
Saja, can the boiler get caught fire?
Yeah,
No, internally. Externally.
I mean,
No, right?
the modern
Just burst it.
protection it doesn't happen that way. But it can definitely, the fire can immediately come out because it's gas fired, especially. The fire doesn't stop there. It basically can travel back into the gas piping if it bursts open. That's the risk. That's all. So for the next class, we'll be talking about what is nuclear boiling, what is film boiling, what is VNB, and why do we have tube failures in boilers. Before you go back after this, I'm just trying to tell you, if you have seen boiler tube leaking in furnaces, Avocado boiler, my question is simple. Why does the tube fail? Okay, this is the drum. Most of the failures you might have seen are happening in this drum. Whereas actual steam formation is in this zone, which is the most, so to say, least absorbing. I mean, the maximum hindrance to steam heat transfer is in this portion. It is all steam. Whereas this is supposed to be partly water, partly steam. But it doesn't fail here, it fails here. Why?
Wrong water.
Huh? No. Same water goes here also. This is a different water, same water here. So what is different? Why is it gets more prone to leaking at the center of the tube? Is Is it because the boiler knows it is easy accessible here, so let me fail here? So Abang and Zamani can do the work easily? Why should not? Boilers are not even so intelligent.
Don't fail on the
Not
top.
yet, not yet.
Safe on
The
scaffolding.
tube knows that I have to fail, but let me fail at a point where it is easier to work. We'll get to the answer. Okay, thank you so much, and I hope because you found it different from the other training programs. If you have any suggestions to change,
Biasa saja, you and your class with the teaser. What's next? Just like movie, the Avengers.
So after Raya, next module.
After that, how? Next week. So
weekly.
Actually, Sanjay, how many
Modules
modules do you have?
there.
about 16 modules.
16.
16 or 14, something like that. Because
That
what
was
I've done
one
is,
module, is it? Was that one?
which I covered in 5 days.
Okay.
Used to cover it, that's all. But they were like, they were modules like today it was only about design.
Okay.
Then next will be only about circulation and tube failures, why they happen, what is DMP, and all.
So, by right, it's between 5 days, is it?
Permata.
No, that was 5 days, 8 to 5 o'clock.
Kalau kau boleh 5 days, boleh.
Permata.
No, but those 5 days was full time working. I used to start at 7 in the morning, 7 until but
Boleh lah. Kau tak boleh. Kau boleh, aku tak boleh.
but to be honest with you,
Okay. So,
where it was just
They don't know.
to be honest, I mean, their level of interest.
3 hours only lah, 3 hours.
Okay.
3 hours punya duration.
so tapi I think when full stretch,
Banyaklah sebenarnya.
3 hours only lah. But what?
Ada maknanya kita tak boleh. Dia macam ada sekenting yang kata
okay. So, Sanjay, when you feel
I will be Daily.
Yep.
Monday
Confirm.
confirm. Okay.
Monday confirm.
Again.
Okay.
Only Saturday morning.
Sunday morning.
Next.
Ni apa? Ucapan raya. Dia daripada Abang Rabi. Ketua Menas aku Rabi. Ucapan raya daripada
Selamat Hari Raya.
Hisham single, mana single?
Apa tak ada aku dong.
Aku ni fire je. Ada siapa yang fire? Serius.
Siapa dia? Nampak ni.
Eh, belum kat tu.
Dia kan tidur.